There's a giant monster living in people's lawns around here, and it's doing a lot of damage, and that's what we're going to talk about today, the chinch bug. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Rusty Nelson, and today, that's right, we're going to talk about the chinch bug because down here in the villages in Florida, Texas, and all the southern states, also up in the northeastern states, there are a lot of problems with chinch bugs. There's different types they can infest in different types of lawns, but down here in the southern part of the villages, a lot of us have St Augustine, and as I drove around the neighborhoods, I could tell that a lot of people had a lot of damage from these bugs. And there are some things that you can do that would mitigate this. You can't necessarily just stomp it out completely, but you can really shut it down and close the door on these little boogers, so to speak, pun intended. And that's what we're going to talk about today. First off, we're going to talk about what the chinch bug is and what to look for. And then really quick, we're going to get into what I did. Now, remember, I am not a professional. I've done a lot of research on this though. Read some papers from University of Florida about the bug and about what I can do to it. So I'm going to show you exactly what I did, some of the damage I had, and also at the very end, I'll show you how you can probably stomp on this a little bit for probably under 10 bucks, and it's a really easy fix. Although you can't quite cure these things completely. Anyway, let's jump out of the cart right here and we'll take a look on this lawn. This is actually part of the entryway into one of the villas, and see exactly what we're looking for and what the damage looks like in the beginning. I want to show you this is the entryway into the Alyssa Villas down here. And I want to show you exactly how things will progress and what they start to look like. The chinch bug itself really likes to hang out in areas that are distressed, lawns that are distressed. And this comes about a lot of times when the concrete meets the grass, because the concrete gets really hot, it starts to dry out the areas along there, and you'll start to see the very beginning of it is areas like this. As you can see, it's just a little brown spot right here, and it's usually a little bit green on the edge. Then you'll start to see it spread like this. And then next thing you know, this is what the lawn will look like. You'll just see roots and dead stuff. Here's the thing, is that once it reaches that point, it's dead. Because what happens is the chinch bug, like I may have already said, actually, as it sucks out the nutrients out of the grass, it also puts in a poison, and that's what kills it. So let's go back to my house, and I'm going to show you exactly what I've done to try to mitigate this. And also, it's really important for you to know that this is definitely something that accelerates during the summer. So the warmer months, as we get into June, July, August, you're going to see a lot of this. And it's really important to start doing something early on, and that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to try to go through this really quick. One reason is because it's hot out here and my camera will turn off if I don't get through this really quick. About the bug really quick. I can't tell you how important it is to get on top of this. Don't look at and see a couple of brown spots in your grass and go away and think it'll be okay when you come back in the fall. It's not going to happen. You may not have a lawn. And the lawn care companies, they come in, they do their thing, and they leave, right? So the big thing is, after I go through all this, if you have a lawn care company taking care of this type of thing, you need to be kind of on top of them, and you need to talk to them, you need to remind them, and the minute you see something going on with your lawn, you need to call them out, especially if it kind of resembles what we're talking about here. So first of all, let's talk about the watering thing. Chinch bugs absolutely love drier, droughted grass that's stressed out, right? So how do you tell if your grass is stressed out? This is a big thing. First of all, it's most likely going to start somewhere around the street, the concrete, or whatever, because it gets real hot. If your sprinklers aren't hitting the right spots, you're going to have dry areas. That's about it, okay? So what does a dry area look like? When I look out on my lawn and I put my glasses down like that, I can look out there and you can actually see the grass, not turning brown, but you'll see kind of like a dark where it doesn't reflect off the light. So you kind of see an area that's getting a little dark. That next stage of that is to get brown. Now, in St. Augustine, the blades are usually flat. So they sit like this. They're really healthy. They look green and they're flat. As they start to get drier and they're drought stricken and under stress, they start to, instead of being a flat blade like this, right, they start to curl. So these big blades start to curl in on themselves. When you start to see that, that means you got to water that area, all right? And chinch bugs could follow after that, but you know that it's just a watering thing. If you go out and water that like 2 days in a row, it's going to start to green up. I actually had it happen here the other day. I went out and watered it, and within a few hours, you could tell that grass had already sucked up some water and started turning green. All right, so that's it about the drought thing and the importance of doing this. The other part is what a chinch bug looks like, and you need to kind of look at this. You may even have to get down on your hands and knees or tell your pest control guy to look at it. I'll show you right down here below, I'll show you pictures of these little boogers. They go from like a little, it's not a larva, I don't even think there's a larva stage, but it's a little tiny red kind of looking thing with a stripe across it, then it turns into a black-brown kind of looking thing, and then it grows up to the infamous X on the back of the bug. There are male and female. The males are a little bit bigger. The females are a little bigger. I think the males are a little smaller. I think I got that right. The females live longer, just like us people in the villages. The females live longer than us. Sorry, guys. And that's kind of what they look like. So how do you find them? There's a couple of different ways. You can look it up on the internet. They show you how to put a coffee can down in the ground, fill it with a couple cups of water, and they'll float to the top. What I actually did is I reached my hand under, because you see those brown spots. They don't live where the dead is because it's already been killed. You got to kind of reach into the area surrounding that. I pulled a clump of dirt out, threw it down on the ground, and instantly I could see the bugs there. So I knew that that's where they were. Now the thing is, if you keep your lawn watered, there is actually a natural occurring fungus that's in the grass that actually kills these off. So when it gets dry, not only do they like the dry area, they like the dry area because there's not this fungus around. And also, if you keep it watered, also there's another smaller bug, which is this natural enemy called a big eye bug or something like that. Anyway, those are just basic. You don't need to know that. You just want to know how to treat it. So here we go. I am going to tell you basically what I did since the beginning of the year. Now, I knew this was a problem because I started taking over my lawn and I started reading about all the things. And the biggest thing I kept seeing was chinch bug, chinch bug, chinch bug, chinch bug. And I started to see down here in St. Catharines just a ton of people that had lawns that were just completely destroyed. And it seemed like it happened within weeks. Now coming up on the summertime, and you need to get on top of this. You need to get your sprinklers straightened out, and you need to make sure you're not getting any of these dry spots because you're gonna lose those natural things that fight off the chinch bugs and kind of make it hard for them to live. So first thing I did was this. And I will put these things down. You can actually get all this stuff if you don't feel like going up to Lowe's or whatever. First thing I did at the beginning, towards the beginning of the year, was I used Scott's turf builder, and it's called Triple Action. The thing is, with the St. Augustine, you want to make sure, usually they have a purple stripe on them or some kind of purple thing to say that if it's a weed thing, you want to make sure that it's safe for St. Augustine. All right. So I put this down. It's a granular thing, and I put this down at the beginning of the year. Now, here's the thing. There are two types of kind of insecticides, basically, right? There is systemic, which means you put it into the soil and it is sucked up by the roots and it goes into the plant. The bug eats the plant and it dies. There is also kind of like a non-systemic that's more like a kill on contact. So you put that down, the granular down, you wet it down, and the bugs come and tromp in it and they die. So those are the two different things. So I put this down at the beginning of this year. This is granule, and it has the base chemical in it. It's called bifenthrin. I'll put these names down there because I'll probably mispronounce them. Bifenthrin, and it's pretty common. If you have any kind of bug killer, you probably got something with the bifenthrin in it. I put that down. I didn't know that much at the time, and I expected that it probably would last a while. It really doesn't, okay? Because once you water the lawn and you water it down, the bugs tramp through it, you get a couple of big rains go through, you water the lawn a bunch of times, it eventually washes off, vaporizes, and goes away. So that's the one way. And I didn't realize that at the time. And all of a sudden, a short period ago, which I'll show you a little bit later when I show you kind of an easy way to start attacking this, is I started to read and I thought, oh my God, I see chinch bugs in my backyard. Now my front lawn and back lawn was completely green, nice grass, everything was growing good. And all of a sudden I saw these spots and I went, oh darn. Now I started doing reading. I read papers from the University of Florida and all different places. And basically what I could come up with is you need to almost attack them. If you're going to do this, the most effective way is to do it the two ways, to do it a systemic and non-systemic. So I went out and hit it again with this. This is bifenthrin based, and I will put a link to this down below. And I'll show you where you can get it. I'll put the Amazon link on there, but you can get it at different places. And that basically attacks them on the surface right away. And then I went and put this Merit 0G5. I got this through Amazon. And this is, I'll try to pronounce this, Imidacloprid. I think that's what it is. I'll put the link to Bigo. And that's systemic. So I put that down. Now, they say that a lot of times when you do this, if you have an infestation, you're going to have to hit it twice. So what I could read is you're basically trying to break the life cycle of these things. So 2 weeks later, I put this down, which has, we'll go back in the backyard here in a second, and I'll show you exactly what I did. I put this down, okay? This is Triazicide. And this is a simple spray. I'm not going to get into it here because I'm going to show you in the back exactly what I did in the areas. So that's what I did. I put that down. And now I went back and the areas that got hit back there, I put a mixture of sand and potting soil in those areas. The other thing I want to do, I want to say this really quick before I get out. People cut their St. Augustine too low. Let me say this again. You're cutting it too low. I know it looks nice, it looks cool, but 3 to 4 inches. So we cut ours, my neighbor and I, we cut ours at about 4 inches during the summer. You don't have to water it as much. It looks nice when you cut it. It's just high, that's all. So anything else I think of, I will put this at the very end, but check this out, this next thing with a sprayer, because this is a way you can kind of, not conquer this, but kind of get into this really easy. It only took me a few minutes in the morning to put the first application down, and that's about it. Let's go check it out. Whew, I think I got through it all. This right here is, if you're gonna go for chinch bugs, I think is probably one of the easiest products to use. And you just hook this up to the end of a garden hose, and I'll put the name and the link down below. You can even just order this on Amazon. I'll put that link down below. But you put this onto a garden hose and spray it, which I'm going to do right now. Some big things you want to do with this is you want to make sure you shake it well, and you want to make sure you start from the furthest away from your spigot or where you can leave your lawn, because you don't want to walk back through it. Now you notice I do have glasses on and I got gloves on. I also have long pants on, and I'm just going to spray this down. Now this will cover about 2,500 square feet, and you need to kind of just lop off, easily measure. My lawn is about 1,100, and I combine that with my neighbor's lawn, which I do his lawn also. Probably about, I don't know, 2,300, somewhere around there. So pretty much use all the bottle. You can tell how much you're using on the back if you want to check that out before you start. But anyway, I would go ahead and give this a try. This is a really cheap method, easy way to do it. You can kind of do it yourself, and I'll just show you really quick. But one thing I want to show you really quick is, as you can see, my lawn is actually, we got a bunch of crows and stuff going around. It's kind of early in the morning, but my lawn's in really good shape. So when you see something happening in a little area, which I'm going to show you in a second, you'll notice it right away. But this is an easy way to get started on this and the easy way to do something about this. Now let me show you just this little area, because I'm not going to be able to get back onto the lawn. This is an area actually right here that I have under repair, and I'll explain to you what I did in a little while. But if you take a look right here, and I think I mentioned earlier, there's a little bit of brown spot right there. And as you can see, this lawn's in really good shape. But these are areas right here that I could tell right away got hit with chinch bugs. Now, if you look right here, these are kind of stolons that I transplanted. That's what the growth is called. It comes off of the St Augustines. But I'm doing an experiment to try to transplant these. But they seem to be doing pretty good and kind of filling these holes. But also, if you look right here, this is an area that I filled in, and this is a mixture of sand and potting soil. But if you look right here, there's just a few areas where you can see it just starting to yellow. And I kind of dug my hand in there and took some of that dirt and threw it over onto the concrete. And I could see the chinch bugs in there. But I'm going to get to spraying here in a second and just show you really quick. It's not too hard. So like I said, it just goes on the end of the hose like this. You want to make sure there's a small yellow tab you'll pull out. It's like a safety tab before you get started. You want to make sure that's all the way up. Turn your water on, and I'm going to start at the furthest part away from my lawn. And I already know by looking at the back of this that probably I should use about a quarter of it for this back part of the yard. Something else you may want to think about too is you don't want to drag your hose back through the areas that you just sprayed, because then you're going to have the chemical all over the hose. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're soaking all the grass and making an overlap. And this is about all it is. So what I did is I did what I figured is probably about a quarter of the lawn so far. And I just looked on the back to see exactly how that looks compared to how much I have to do the usage. So it looks about right. And that's about it. Took about 15 minutes or so in the morning, and yeah, that's about it. It was really easy to do. That's probably the easiest way for you to attack these chinch bugs and also be preventative. Because man, once they start, they can just knock off a whole lawn. And the weird thing was, I was driving around the other day and saw a couple of guys standing out looking at their lawn, and they were trying to figure out what to do. Hopefully I helped them out a little bit. And I'm going to have some more videos on this type of stuff. But right now, I'm going to go and enjoy my coffee, and I'm going to come right back on when we get inside and recap, because there's going to be some other lawn care videos that I do. Anyway, I'll see you after I'm done my paper and coffee. All right, so kind of hanging out, relaxing now, and I want to go over a couple of important things, and there's a couple of things I didn't mention there that I probably should have that I forgot. But first of all, chinch bugs are very susceptible to the chemicals and getting used to the insecticides. So it's really important that there's a lot of insecticides that will actually kill chinch bugs, but it's important that you rotate them out. You know, so one year you use something that has an active ingredient of one thing, the next year you use an active ingredient in something else, because you really don't want to get them used to whatever chemical that you are using. The second part about it is please be wise of the environment. In other words, if you put a chemical down on there, do not have it so that it'll run off all the time. The first time you water it, if you're watering your lawn and you have a lot of runoff, then you're doing something wrong. So either take care of that yourself. You should be doing that whether you're using insecticides or fertilizers or not, because a lot of this water runs off into our little ponds and stuff like that. When you first see anything that looks like damage, take care of it right away, because you get a big infestation of chinch bugs on a lawn that is slightly dehydrated, so to speak. You could lose the whole lawn in no time. I mean, extremely fast. I got lucky with a couple of those little holes that we saw in the back because the lawn was in such good shape. So that's why it wasn't a big problem and didn't spread real fast. I will go back and do an update later on dealing with if I got that to grow back over. Maybe in the fall or something like that, I'll tell you what I had the best results with. But that's about it. Also, one more thing. I am not a professional at this. I do not do this for a living. I'm just passing along to you what I've done. I've given you everything I know. So you're going to have to do any further investigation or questions you're going to have to ask your professional lawn care person if you have one. You're going to have to ask them. I will put the Scott spreader and the links down below to everything. And like I said, that one bag with a 7 on there explains really, really well what you can and you can't do and how you should do things. The instructions are really good on the back. If you don't understand something, just look up that specific thing on the internet and there's tons of information on it. Anyway, I really hope that helps you out. I'm going to do some other lawn care tips later on, and I'll go through and let you know what I found out. And as always, like I say, I'll either see you down here in the villages or I will see you back here on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing. I really appreciate that. When you smash the like button, it helps out immensely. You have a wonderful day, and hopefully you're not taking care of your lawn too much.